One thing I've legitimately noticed about Chainsaw Man is the way that it handles like the deeper kind of like tones with the gaps between such as Denji's character and Aki's character. So I'll go over this a lot in this review because like a lot of this chapter, the bulk of it was action. It was like a mix between like good action choreography, training stuff for Denji and Power, but there's a big heavy aspect in the I would say like last quarter, maybe like third of the series. But the chapter itself, you can read through it pretty fast. Like the whole first part, it's this new guy, and she shows up, and you have Power and Denji, and after their plan to pretty much murder this dude with their intellect, and they're both kind of like dressed up of what they think would be smart because they're like, oh yeah, no, if we use our heads, we can strategically defeat this guy. And Denji and Power both have glasses, and Power's tied her hair back. So they're trying to look smart. And I've discussed it before. Denji potentially could become, I wouldn't say genius. He could become intelligent. The thing is, I don't think he's dumb. I think he's uneducated, because he grew up pretty much as like a child worker. And Power, she's not human. She's just not intelligent. She's a fiend, but she's way smarter than like what was the other fiend we saw? Like the first one we saw was just like a bumbling idiot. So she's smart for her kind. Meanwhile, this guy's like shows up, and you get this cool like part of you get the dude side and you get Power side, and you see what is the wall between them, the door, and Power gets a blood spear. She's getting ready to shove it through, and the dude just instantly dodges it, goes right over it, grabs the spear, breaks it, and then Power and Denji set up like water bottles full of her blood in the floor above the dude, and then have spikes come down, more these like spiky spears to go and impale him. Is it still impaling if it goes under you? Or over you? I actually don't know. I'd have to look that up. I'm pretty sure it's still impalement, but either way, cool thing with Power. We see her use her abilities in more of a stockpile kind of way, because we've seen her use them, manipulate her blood into weapons, but we haven't seen something like this. There's a character in Jujutsu Kaisen that has blood manipulation abilities, and he actually carries like little blood bags on him, and like you see a part where he like breaks one and he throws it and it turns into like a throwing star. There's like one part where he like smashes part of it and condenses it to kind of like be like a very condensed beam. We get a like that here too, and it's just kind of cool when you see like just a very basic, I mean, I guess I wouldn't call it basic to understand power. It's definitely not a common power, but it's very easy to understand, and it's just cool to see it being used in a lot more like interesting ways than just like big blood attacks coming out of the arm, do crazy cool stuff. You see it in ways that would be pretty easy to think of if you got this power, not the way that you would instantly be like, I'm gonna do this, but it's like, oh cool, if I start use my head, I can figure out a setup for it. Because one thing of like manipulate blood, your body keeps producing blood. I don't know what the amount of blood you can lose a day and still be fine, but like keep like that in mind. Like if you had blood manipulation ability, you could drain a certain amount of blood out of your body a day and stockpile it like this. And then like Conan from Naruto, because her whole thing was like paper style jutsu, and she like made paper bombs, and she didn't seem powerful. But like, I don't remember like what her overall skill was. I know I don't think she had really many fights. I think she had that one fight with who was it? Was it Obito? I have to go back and look. Don't quote me on that one. But she had that like lake of paper bombs where it's just like that was a big attack. It's not like straight up like, oh, fight, she can do that. It's like, oh no, she prepped that, she prepared. So Power could do something like that. She was just like months later, yet we haven't seen her, and she just like prepped like tankers of her blood, and she does something crazy. That's like one thing she could do. Like even if she doesn't get powerful, like straight up raw stats, she could prepare a big attack like that in the future. But nothing works. Even like spikes from the top doesn't phase the dude. He's very powerful. He's very smart. From what I remember, someone corrected me and said that he was brought up before. He's the one that trained Makima, which is pretty cool. And then like Denji, jumps over he goes from like a floor above them, climbs over. I feel like his would be easy to foresee because you'd probably be able to hear him. Powers would be more sneaky, but Denji's is definitely like you probably hear him like at least jump down, like land on the railing. But the dude just like back kicks him, and knocks him out. And the whole thing is he goes over like their plan was like a good idea to do, be strategic, but because like Denji, Denji left himself wide open in this attack, and the dude like caught him, and with power, because blood, you're manipulating blood, and you can only lose so much blood before you start getting dizzy and get anemic and stuff. But I won't lie. There are times like, when you see something and you think something's funny, you're watching a funny movie, you laugh at a funny part you like, or you read something, you're like, damn, that's funny. There's a whole different level of like feeling when you read something and you physically laugh out loud, especially when you're silent and you're just sitting there reading, and then you start, not like a chuckle or a giggle, it's like straight up like a laugh. And this part legitimately made me laugh. I was like, got off work, chapter got translated, went over and saw it on Manga C, and I was like going to the store, and I stopped in my car, and like, I'm gonna read this before I go get some groceries. And legitimately, I was just quiet in my car reading for like a couple minutes, and I laughed out loud at the scene because the dude is like, all right, that's enough for today. You guys failed this time, but at least you figured out, you used your head and advanced a little bit. You see him walking away, and you see like the shadow and like the distance of like the hallway, and then Power and Denji are like, oh damn, it's over for today. And you see a little glint of light, and then a knife like comes like swinging by, just like spinning, and just dives like right into Denji's forehead. He just starts like bleeding out on the floor, and we know he's like immortal, but it was such a funny moment just because he's like, shit, that sucked, but at least he took it light today. And then you just look over and a knife just tags you right in the forehead. That was such a good comedic timing. I loved it because it wasn't like a long drawn out one. That glint of light, I think, made it so much funnier than if that wasn't there, because if it was just a knife, it'd have been like, oh shit. I think the glint of light was just like, god damn it, they were tricked, and then just what was coming, and then just tagged him right in the head. Denji is done. He's fallen out, and then that's where their area of the chapter ends. And then it goes back to I'm trying to remember the two new characters. I think it's Tendo and Korone, or Kuro. I think it's something like that. But I'm gonna scroll back because a lot of times I reread the chapters as I'm going through them. I'm just gonna scroll really quick because that's gonna bother the crap out of me. But essentially, like we have Aki, who is with these two, and they are going to, they're going to go get him a new contract. They're going to go get him a new contract with a new devil because the Fox Devil doesn't want to associate himself with them anymore, it seems. He's done. He doesn't want to partake with them at all. He probably feels like betrayed. I don't know if what are the names? Kurose and Tendo, yeah. So, like, the fact that he got kind of screwed over, he probably, he's just like, screw you, I don't want to do stuff for you anymore. And we know that, like, the severity of the devil, like, and, like, depending on, it's not like a straight raw, like, trade up. The devils decide what they want to trade you, or what you're going to trade them for their thing. Like, they mentioned, like, the devil that they go to see, one person traded half their life, one person traded, like, both their eyes, I think their sense of taste, their sense of smell. So pretty much, sight and smell and taste, yeah. And then so like they said, like, if the devil likes you, you'll get off easy. So like that is an actual thing like you can do in Chainsaw Man. Say you have a character who maybe their devil isn't even like OP, like it's like a average, I mean, not average, but like if you put it up on like a ranking system, it's like maybe a little bit above like mid-level. Like maybe it's like a pretty good power, but not great. But like what would make the character like really OP? Maybe like the character like got a really good deal with like that devil, and so they don't have like a bad trade. Like maybe it's like, yeah, I do this, and like I don't get to speak for a day or something. That would be like a really like good trade-off. It's kind of like a weird thing, but the devils they're gonna all be different. They're all gonna want different things. We don't know what exactly they want. It's like especially like if they could be, I wouldn't say good devils, but like they just have their kind of independent, because Denji got his contract with Pochita, and Pochita just wants him to show him his dream. He wants him to fulfill like his life and be happy. So that's like that's going to be an interesting one, I think, because like what happens if Denji tries to give up? Would Pochita, like, because we know that you can't violate contracts with the devils after you make them, so would there be like a weird like flux in Denji's like thoughts and emotions of like Pochita's like side of the contract forcing Denji to do something? I'm very interested in that possibility. But again, like we're going to talk about it earlier in this review of like the fact that the series takes a like a really weird kind of like approach to some of the characters. Like I've been on the Chainsaw Man hype train since chapter 1. I fell in love with the series at chapter 1, and I've been super on board with it since. And I one of my friends, my buddy, whenever I'd like hype on, he'd be like, "Oh, it's just action and gore, and there's no like deeper areas to it." And I disagreed with him because like early in the series, like you can't say that when a series is like pretty fresh. And we saw back when Denji, because the thing about Denji is Denji, growing up as pretty much a child labor worker, indebted to the mob. He didn't have a chance to really like develop into a person, so he was pretty much just had like very little to who he was. And so like what we see him, he doesn't have a lot of social skills, he doesn't seem to have a lot to him, and he's developing as like a character, not like, oh, I'm a character, I'm getting I've got development and I'm learning things as I go, things about me are altering. It's literally like Denji's almost a blank slate, and like his experience are literally going to craft like who he is in general versus like, alterations to like how they think, feel, and act like in their journey. Again, it's very strange, like a way to describe it. I think you can kind of get what I mean. I've talked about it a couple times on the channel. And then like you saw like when he changed his mind against the Eternity Devil, like we found out like because of the past with him, that he didn't like to be in debt to people. Like if he owed somebody something, he would try and like pay them back as quick as possible, because we know about his life because of debts and whatnot. And where that's really cool to see this kind of almost blank character like become someone. We have Aki, who is this very interesting character because he comes off as, he's the rival character. I mean, he doesn't really feel like a rival to Denji, at least at the moment, but we know like his position. He's, I guess like, I think the two easiest ones to compare him to are Sasuke and Yuno. I think those are pretty good ones because they're both very popular. They're both all three of them are kind of like very quiet characters. There's obviously large differences between each of them. I don't need to go into that in this video, but about Sasuke and I'm obviously going to talk about Aki. The thing about Aki is he's very revenge driven against the Gun Devil. He wants to avenge his family and all the people that have died because of it. And we know like he doesn't like he already knows his life is always at risk because he's a devil hunter. That's why he's fine with smoking. He doesn't mind getting something like cancer because like he could die at any point. Plus the cursed devil has already like reduced his lifespan in such a short amount of time that it's just not a thing to him. But even in that, he still cares a lot. Like whenever we know that whenever somebody that whenever his teammates dies, he cries about him. Like he's very emotion controlled when he's out doing stuff, but when he's in his he's by himself, he's like in a private setting, he lets all his like sorrows and grief come out, which is a very nice like deeper aspect to his character. But then like we know about like this whole thing with Himeno, and Himeno wanting to get him to quit being a devil hunter, at least being the direct line, like get in the private sector where it's much safer, because she loved him and she wanted to like try and like keep him safe, keep him from dying. And we know like she also didn't want him to use the cursed devil because it shortens his lifespan. And then we get this part where Himeno's sister, who I don't think we have seen a panel of her, but she brings him all these letters, and he ends up reading them, and it's all like between Himeno and his sister, like you just think it's like normal stuff, but there's like lines in there, specifically one in there, it's like, is there anything I can do to get Aki to quit? Because we know, like, I mean, that's got to be like a really heavy mind fuck. Like, you're this dude, your whole life has pretty much been devoted to killing these devils, and the base root goal of finding the at least the biggest one that we know of. There's probably a couple others that are on level with him, if not above him. We don't know yet, but the one that he's focused on. And he still cares a lot about all these other people that he works with. He doesn't want them to die. And he has this one person that very much connects with, has a very interesting relationship with, who he pretty much saved, because Himeno was like this almost dead inside character because of, witnessing how many like partners she had that ended up dying. And then like pretty much Aki saving her from that. She fell in love with him, and she wanted to protect him. And she ended up dying in order to try and, save him. And he ends up reading these letters, and he finds out, about this, that she was trying to get him to quit because she just wanted to keep him alive. And that just gotta like really hurt you. Like, could you imagine that, like, after your friend sacrifices themselves to save you, you find out like they've been trying to get you to quit all this time because they wanted to protect you? Like, they've had this like, I want this person to be safe, and I have to figure out a way to do it for however long that they were partners. I don't remember the exact time frame. and then afterwards, like when their entire like goal and plan like doesn't work, and that ends up killing them because of you. In a way, that's just really like shitty to think about. And like it's crazy because like with Denji's is like, again, like a almost blank character like becoming somebody, and like we see like the crafting of who he is like as the story goes. But with Aki, it's much more like, you know, this very kind of deep character going for this sorrowful journey, and like how he's gonna like live with it. And I believe he's gonna become a hybrid, kind of like Denji and the Yakuza guy. I don't think that Fujimoto, like, from, I haven't finished Fire Punch. I gotta finish it because it was only like halfway when I picked it up, and then I stopped because I forgot about it. But from what I understand, he doesn't keep a lot of characters alive for a long time. I feel like Aki is going to be one of the ones that could probably live at least through the majority of the series, because he's, you know, a pretty interesting, good character, and he's like pretty much, you know, like I said, the rival. And he's only got 2 years left. I mean, he could easily die. This author is a fucking madman, and you know, we could get a way to keep him alive if he becomes a hybrid. He now has the Curse Devil, very OP, like if he became able to merge them, and this guy, because now they're in this jail, like this prison where they keep all the devils that they're able to keep alive. And you know, there's only 2 other people that have a contract with him, like I mentioned, like the people that traded with him. It is apparently a big deal. This is the future devil. And one of the things I really like about the monsters in Chainsaw Man, same thing with Jujutsu Kaisen, is I really love their designs. Like, I'll be honest, though, one thing I really love, again, if you know my channel, you know my the things I like. I really love Fairy Tail, and I'm not a huge fan of Mishima's monster designs. I like most of them, but like, I think Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man are much more in my realm of like how I like the monsters. They're just spooky when you look at them. There's still cool ones, like Hiroshima has fucking Mark Gear. I love Mark Gear. But like the future devil is like spooky. He's like this big, like, weird tree creature, and he's got like these like almost antlers of branches, and he's got like these vines growing off him with like a conjoined rooted like leg, and there's like an opening with an eye that you see, the first thing you see about him, like in the shadow. And he's just like yelling about like loving the future. And so that's going to be really cool, because I think that would be really nice to see, like with Aki, like if he gains like future sight and probably whatever like crazy stuff he gets, like he could be like a variety character. Like he gets a bunch of like things to like add together into like a really OP like arsenal, especially if he becomes like a especially because he doesn't care about what he has to trade up to kill the gun devil. Like he's full and he doesn't care. And then like just like what he could become if he becomes a hybrid. But otherwise, this is way longer than I planned. This is almost twice as long as I put this video. It's like almost 18 minutes. I don't expect anyone to get this far. But anyway, tell me in the comment section below and what you think about this. Love this chapter. I love Chainsaw Man. I don't think I've read a bad chapter of it. It's a lot of fun. Really great story, fun, great designs, a lot of great action. And again, it's getting way more popular every single time a chapter comes out. It seems like more people are talking about it. But other than that, drop a comment below. Like I said, thumbs up the video, but friend the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. Brother, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank y'all for listening. Bye.